Hey everybody, this is Daniel Riera here, and I've been getting this question a lot, asking what is this instrument that I play, how do I use it, what are the different sounds, and also what is this thing over here. So this video is kind of to explain all that. So to start with, this is the EWI. It's an electric wind instrument, and I play the EWI 4000S made by Akai. Where is that? Yeah, Akai. So this is a commercially made instrument that is an electronic wind instrument. So it's like a MIDI controller synth for woodwind players. So, I was always kind of jealous of the keyboard players, how they get to change sounds and perform many different roles on stage. So that was always something I wanted. But as a flute player, my options weren't as open. But when I found out about the EWI, I knew I had to have it. And later on, I found out that some of my favorite performances on albums were actually made with some similar wind controllers. Benny Maupin, one of my heroes, played the Lyricon on a lot of the old Herbie Hancock funk albums, and that was kind of the predecessor to this. So the EWI, it's like the fingering wise, it's kind of like a saxophone or clarinet. It's similar to all woodwinds, close enough that pretty much any woodwind player, I think, can pick one up and figure out the fingerings pretty quick. And on the other side, it has these 8 octave keys, which are actually roller switches. And so on a typical clarinet or saxophone, you would have 1 octave key, which helps you break into the next octave. So the EWI has 8. So this allows me to get this range. So doing octave jumps becomes quite easy with this setup. Okay, and then the other main important thing is the breath sensor. So this is the breath sensor. There's actually 2 sensors in here. One is how hard I blow, and the other one is how hard I wiggle this way or bite. So I'll show you what they sound like. This is the breath. Okay, so that's what I can do with the breath, and then this is what I can do with varying bite amount. The other really awesome feature of the EWI, the model that I play, is that it has polyphony. So it can actually do 2 notes at the same time. And the way that works is if I play a slurred phrase, so on one breath, the first note that I hit will become a drone that's held under the other note. So it sounds a little bit like this. So without the hold mode on, it would sound like this. And with the hold mode, it sounds like this. The first note gets held. So this, of course, totally opens up doors of polyphony. I think the creators intended it to be used as a drone, so you could do, kind of bagpipey stuff. But I've been really enjoying using it. If I do kind of like a fast grace note or a trill before a note, I can add a note, then it sounds almost like I'm playing them two notes at the same time. So check it out. So what I'm take the hold mode off now, and what that sounds like without it is like. So those little grace notes get held out, and then you get the polyphony. So yeah, those are the basic features of the EWI. There's also, I forgot to mention, there's a pitch bender right in here. So I can do kind of guitar style whammies and pitch bends. Okay, so that's just the features of the EWI, but right now, so that the EWI does make its own sounds. It has an internal sound engine, and you can plug a regular 1/4-inch cable in here and plug it straight into an amp, and it'll make sound. But I was a little unsatisfied with the sounds of the EWI in its internal sound, just the tone of it, because it's a digital synth. And it's also pretty dated now. I think this came out in 2007. So it sounded a little tinny to my ears. Like no matter how much I tweaked the sounds, still had that kind of digital plasticky sound. So that's why I embarked on this journey to design and build my modular synth here. And that's kind of been my my sound engine that you've been hearing in this video, and I've been using a lot lately live and in the studio. So this is a Eurorack modular synth. Eurorack is a format, and it's a mixture of commercially produced modules and also ones that I built myself. And so this is a setup that I had from my Soltron show last night, and it's actually 3 voices in one. So I can mix and layer them. So the first voice is the one you've been hearing. So this is made with the IntelliGel Atlantis. Mutable Yarns is my MIDI to CV interface. And I have IntelliGel Quad VCA, as well as some delay and reverb on it. So it's 2 oscillators tuned in unison. And a resonant filter on that. And what's cool is I have Mutable Yarns set up to take the polyphonic notes from the EWI, split it to 2 separate MIDI channels, 2 CV channels, and it's controlling 2 analog oscillators from the Atlantis to create this duophonic effect. So I can still take advantage of that. Yeah, so then the next sound I'm going to switch to here. It uses the same 2 oscillators, but then it adds 2 more. So now this is a 4 oscillator patch that's designed for polyphony. So 2 analog oscillators and 2 digital oscillators coming from Yarns. Awesome bonus feature that it has is that it can, in addition to producing MIDI to CV, it can also create a digital oscillator and just output it right out that channel. So this is what 4 oscillators sounds like. So this patch is based on one of the internal preset sounds that come on the EWI called Squids, which I really liked, and I used it when we were recording the Soltron album. I used it for the lead on Mueve la Cintura. And so I've kind of recreated that sound, but in the analog domain, using a Korgasmatron filter, which is it's a clone of a MS-20 filter, and it just gives it that nice, raw, just screams analog to me. I forgot to add the reverb and delay, which make it super juicy. Yeah, so that's my squid sound, or my 4-voice polyphonic sound, and also the lead that I use on Mueve la Cintura. And then my third sound patch this is the simplest patch that I use, but I find it's really effective on stage and it cuts. So it's just a straight sine wave. So one thing that's cool about this sine wave patch is it doesn't have to stay basic. Like if I push this sine wave into overdrive, then I can actually it'll clip and it'll start to wave shape and become more like a square wave. So this is what that sounds like. I'm changing the response curve on the IntelliGel Quad VCA from linear to exponential, and that's gonna cause that breath CV to make it clip. Okay, and the last thing that I want to talk about is my breath CV EWI mod. So the EWI as it's designed outputs everything through MIDI. So all I would need is to plug one MIDI cable into a MIDI receiving synth, and I can control everything with the breath, all these different controllers that are on it. But I was kind of dissatisfied with the resolution of MIDI for the breath signal. So on this instrument, the breath response is super important. And if you want to play with good dynamics, you need a wide range. And because of the nature of the MIDI spec, that range is quantized into only 128 steps. So I found that to be pretty lossy, and if I try to do a slow crescendo like this, you would hear all these steps as I increase the pressure. You'd hear. So that's why I embarked on this journey of actually modding my EWI so it would output an analog breath control voltage. So I opened up my EWI and I poked around for a point that would give me an analog control voltage, because I figured that this breath sensor at some point started off as an analog signal and gets converted into MIDI. So I found that on this pot right here that sets the sensitivity of the breath sensor, off of that pot I was able to solder 2 wires that go down here, and then I took the headphone out and I cut the traces inside, and I turn that into my new CV out. So that goes down this cable. This is a special cable that I made too, which is a MIDI cable plus an 1/8 inch cable for CV that's made out of one Ethernet cable that I cut and I put new connectors on. And then that cable goes to a custom module that I built on my Modular synth that takes that control voltage from the EWI, which is 0 to 3 volts and inverted, and it flips it over and converts it to 0 to 5 volts. So that makes it a good range to control the Euro rack system with. So that kind of finally gave me the ability to have really good dynamic control, really good nuance and sensitivity. Okay, so that's the basic rundown of what I do with the EWI when I play with a live band. I still have many modules that are unused in this current patch, and I've done shows before where those become extra voices, percussion instruments, different things that can accompany me while I solo on top. So I'll get into that probably in another video. But anyway, thanks for listening, and please check out my music, Tito Tunes, as well as Soltron music, where you can hear what I do with this instrument. All right, thank you.